compare that to the United States. It's just like, what? One person with over $100 billion. Let's evolve past this. The United States, one of the richest countries, either the richest or the second richest country in the world, is now not even in the top 20 happiest. The 2024 World Happiness Report. Unhappy Americans.
We get it. We understand what the American people are feeling.
Unhappy news for Americans. The United States is no longer among the 20 happiest countries in the world, according to a new data from Gallup. The U.S. dropped out of the top 20 on the list for the first time in the survey's history. The U.S. now ranks at 23 compared to 15 last year. And here are the top 10. Finland, Denmark, Iceland, Sweden, Israel, although these numbers were taken before the ongoing genocide operation. I don't know where Israel would be now. Netherlands, Norway, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Australia. What do they have that the U.S. doesn't? Oh, I don't know. Healthcare, for one. A better safety net, for two. The safety net is so good in some of these countries that you don't, like, they find it completely normal, and we have no idea what other countries allow for, and you're like, wait, they get what? They get a free hand job every Tuesday? Why is that not on our list of things we demand? This is a positive story about the safety net. This is not a positive story outside of that. But my brother-in-law, he works for a forestry service. Horrible accident happened several weeks ago, and he nearly died. The tree crushed him. He ultimately survived, but lost use of one arm. The reason I bring this up is because he got injured in a job in Switzerland, he will get 85% of his pay for the rest of his life. 85% of what he was being paid for the rest of his life. I'm so glad because, his life's been turned upside down and he deserves that. In the U.S., compare that to the United States. It's just like, what? Like, it is so rare that workers are taken care of, both in terms of healthcare and so much more. In terms of Social Security, in terms of retirement and just so many levels of safety net that is not here for us in the United States, because we are treated like shit by both parties, right? It is one party, folks. I got news for you. It's just one party. I know that you're going to hear nonstop for the next several months. Trump and Biden are so different. No, one party. It's one party. They stand for the same shit 99% of the time. And so why has the U.S. dropped out of the top 20 on this happiness ranking? It's obvious. It's because the people of the United States are abused and have shit lives. We have no community left anymore. It's all been gutted by capitalist rampages. I don't even know what community people have anymore. I was walking through, I live in Baltimore. I was in downtown Baltimore. I was walking through, and some of Baltimore is, dilapidated and crushed. Some of it looks beautiful, but and I'm walking by these gorgeous, large, kind of brownstone type houses. Nobody's out. Nobody goes anywhere anymore. It's just where we've all been atomized in our little isolation chambers. There's no community. There's no passion in life. I mean, very few people even get to do what they want with their lives. It's like on so many levels, we are not living what should be a rewarding existence. And we got to fight for that. And so, and meanwhile, the U.S., what's the U.S. empire actually value? It values endless war. It values making as much money as possible, enriching the rich over and over and over, just runaway fortunes. Here's from inequality.org. A total U.S. billionaire wealth is up 88% over the past 4 years. 4 years ago, the U.S. entered the COVID-19 pandemic. Forbes published its 34th annual billionaire survey shortly after, with data keyed to March 18th, 2020. On that day, the United States had 614 billionaires who owned a combined wealth of $2.9 trillion. 614 billionaires in 2020. 4 years later, there are now 737 billionaires with a combined wealth of $5.5 trillion. An 87% increase of the 2.58 trillion before, according to the Institute for Policy Studies calculations. Tesla CEO Elon Musk in 2020 had $25 billion. He now has $255 billion. In 2020, Jeff Bezos had 113 billion. He now has 193 billion dollars. The Walton family, three members, just three members of the Walton family who own Walmart, right? They saw their combined assets rise from 161 billion dollars to 229 billion since the pandemic. In 2020, only one billionaire, Jeff Bezos, had $100 billion or more. In 2020, there was one person with over $100 billion. Today, the entire top 10 richest people are centi billionaires, meaning over $100 billion, bringing their collective wealth to a staggering $1.4 trillion. I'll just remind everyone, trying to get your head around what $1 trillion is borderline impossible. $1 trillion, like if you make $40,000 after taxes, to make $1 trillion, you'd have to work for 25 million years. It's a completely unimaginable, unconceivable amount of money. The rich are getting exponentially richer while people get poorer in the lower half of the country. And so, of course, the US isn't in the top 20 happiest. I mean, there's so much more that we could be living for, that we could be joining together to fight for. I mean, I will say it's, I'm lucky to do what I want with my life, to have my job be my passion in many regards. I'd say part of what I love most about this is that there is some community here, that I get to come here 4 days a week and speak to you guys and at least feel united, even if I'm nowhere near you, at least feel united in the effort to call attention to the reality of what's going on in our world, to call attention to the bullshit that's being sold to us. And I feel community in that. So I'm lucky to have that. But capitalism has just gutted what it was to what our lives were about, used to be about. More people need to wake up to that. And we can evolve beyond capitalism. I love the idea. Capitalism has been around for, the industrial capitalism has been around for what? A few hundred years, less. Even non-industrial capitalism is like, what, 500 or 1,000 years or something? And yet, people act like it's the only thing that's ever existed. It's the end of history. We cannot come up with other thing we could do to organize our society or have a functioning society. Can't possibly come up with a shareable, sustainable future for everyone in our post-scarcity world. We have to evolve past this in order to have a chance of survival for the human species. And we got to start talking that way too, that let's evolve past this. Let's actually become what we're capable of and create a peaceful, just, and sustainable world, rather than a world that is exponentially heating up as food systems collapse around the globe, because we'd rather just bury our heads in the sand and keep revving the engines of our cars rather than actually create that sustainable future that is a possibility and is out there for us